Yeah, Yamiks, you can't swear on the internet. Did you not know that?
The internet police?
DJ, how about fuck you?
Oh, excellent. There you go. We've started on the right.
I know, right?
Yamiks, I just saw your intro, the Decepticon intro. I love it. I love it.
Made by Tikas, the one and only Tikas.
Brilliant. Use it all the time.
I do.
So good.
No, I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to start this end then. Now I don't know if you've
All
tried
right.
your ends.
Yeah, I'm all live and stuff on time because I was moaned at for being late. So I'm on time now.
Well done.
Right. So also one thing I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna go into Streamlabs and mute alerts.
Well, we're live this end.
Yeah, I had the mistake of
I always
not
forget,
doing that constantly.
I always forget. Yep, every single time. But it's done now. So the alerts are muted for this stream, just while we're with the Creators Roundtable. Just sort of out of respect for everybody else.
Yeah, more or less should be.
Yep.
Very decent of you, DJ.
Yep, same
Very
as him.
decent.
So
hello everyone. Live here with another live stream. This week we got with us TheYamiks, Commander Ascorbius, and DJ Truthsayer. Exigius hasn't been able to make it today. May turn up a bit later on, but I guess we'll see how that goes. So, yeah, bunch of topics to talk about today as usual. Probably, hopefully, not too much shouting and arguing, but that's probably the most fun part of the stream, eh?
It's
No, it's
always.
Yeah.
I'm going to argue with you about that.
I have
No,
never
wrong.
shouted or
No, no.
argued. I have never shouted or argued in any Creators. Oh wait.
Yes, you have. So I'm doing the 5-minute argument, which is.
What about last time?
Yeah, I'm just going to retract my statement and retire quietly to the corner.
I know TheYamiks is being quiet.
Well, ow.
Yamiks has become a cat. Yamiks,
Yeah.
What do you want from me? I can't beat a dead horse without the horse being present, you know?
We'll probably find some horses, I reckon.
There are plenty of them still roaming about.
I mean, horses.
Just being there, I guess.
So should we start by talking about the obvious conspiracy that Ed Lewis has attempted to wipe out the majority of the streaming and YouTube?
There's no conspiracy. That's a fact. There's no conspiracy. There is evidence. Conspiracies generally don't have evidence. That Ed Lewis has spread the plague throughout the whole planet.
Yep.
Like we have cases, Bognoguses, like now at death's door.
Yep.
And you've been ill. Even your good lady has been ill.
Yep.
What is going on? How did we allow this to happen?
Frontier are officially the cause of the apocalypse. It's probably fine, right?
Yeah, Patient Zero, what Pro is saying. I think one of you guys said that just now as well, didn't you?
Yep, Ed Lewis is clearly Patient Zero.
He is the harbinger of the apocalypse.
If you need any more evidence that Frontier is trying to kill people, well, here you go. unlike with Grind, yeah, this is actually a proper assault, just inviting and then just properly drowning them in, I don't know, viruses and all sorts of shit. Yes.
Yep.
Now I kind of feel happy that I didn't even get an invite. Yay!
See, they love you. That's what it is, Yamiks. They love you so much.
Oh, sure.
They do.
Yeah.
I'm sure, Yamiks, that your lack of invite had nothing to do with the fact that you announced to Zach at Fantasticon that you wouldn't sign an NDA. I'm sure that the fact that in order to be invited you had to sign an NDA and the fact that you'd loudly announced to them that you wouldn't are totally unrelated things.
Even the postman at Frontier has to sign an NDA. I've got mail for you. Sign. Oh.
I'm sure that these are unrelated facts, you know?
Speculation and conjecture. That's about it.
No, talking of speculation.
Oh, God.
Yes. Why not let's start talking about a little bit of what we might expect from 2019, perhaps, of content. We don't know. I mean, it's going to, once Chapter 4 drops, we're going to be pretty much in a position where we don't know what's next for Elite at all. I mean, you could always argue we never know what's next for Elite, really, because you don't know how it's all going to unfold, but we literally don't know what's next for Elite next year. I think we were kind of in that position shortly after Horizons, weren't we? No, we weren't, were we? Yes, we were.
We were in that position just before Horizons.
Yes, the last, and just on the last content drop was patch 2.4 come out in September, didn't it? And then they did the expo in October. So there's a few weeks window where we didn't know what was next.
That tends to be Frontier's way, doesn't it? They seem to like to focus on the now rather than the future. Yeah. Which makes a certain amount of sense. Let's be honest. It makes sense to sort of hype what you have out now rather than getting people excited for things that are in the far-flung future and might change massively between now and then. On the other side of that, let's be honest, we'd all love it if they'd just be like, look, subject to change, but here's what we'd like to do. Which is what they did back in the Kickstarter. And actually, if you look back at the Kickstarter, although the process seems to have maybe been extended a bit longer than they would have originally intended, we seem to be following that original path that they set.
DJ, if I could jump in there a little bit though, because they did say a bunch of things during the Kickstarter, and it seems that no good deed goes unpunished, because there's not a day that goes by that someone doesn't remind them of things that they said they'd do in the Kickstarter, and it's still not here yet. You promised. Hang on, this is just what we want to do. No, you promised. So that would, if it was my company, that would make me incredibly nervous about saying things before.
But the thing is, in a Kickstarter, right? So you're promising things, and people are willing to give you money and support your cause for said promises. Now, I wouldn't say it's a dick move to not fulfill those promises, but
that's a very
I can't finish that sentence. Sorry.
It's a very difficult judgment to make right now, though. Elite isn't finished. Don't get me wrong.
No game is finished.
No. But if they had wrapped up, yes, it is. When development is wrapped up, you can definitively say a game is finished, right?
I look at it from the art perspective, but whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm talking from a real world perspective. Yeah. At the moment.
Oh wow, DJ.
Well, it's true. At the moment, Elite is very much not finished. Development is very obviously ongoing on it. Yeah. It's very difficult to say they haven't fulfilled what they said that they would in the Kickstarter, when actually what they said in the Kickstarter, so far they're on track for delivering. It just depends on, do they keep on that path?
Well, you have to remember as well, when the Kickstarter was first announced, when they were talking about the features that they wanted to put in there was nothing to base it on. There was no, they weren't up against any yardstick from any other game. They weren't saying, it's going to be like this game with this feature and this feature and this feature. It was, we're extending Elite, the original concept of Elite, and we're going to add this and this and this. It's what we want to do. So it wasn't so much selling promises. It was more a use case, really, if you think about it like that. Here's what we'd like to do. So it's a use case kind of thing where you're going to be able to fly ship, do this, and do this. And some of it, when they're developing things, it's like, yeah, actually, that's not going to work. That is not going to work. So what do? Develop it anyway, even though it's not going to work, even though it's going to take a significant amount of work and money, and that will mean delaying the entire game? Or do they say, let's put that on the back burner and see how things develop? I reckon they took that approach.
Well, yes, most game development tends to be like that, but the problem is oftentimes with these Kickstarters and, well, such projects, crowdfunded projects, that things that get promised are extravagant. Let's just go with that word. Extravagant, indeed. And yeah, a good example would be Star Citizen, of course, but Elite did that too. I mean, it doesn't take even a programmer's mind to get that single player and multiplayer being, comparably done at the same time and keep evolving with, well, offline mode being a thing. No. it doesn't work. How would you pair the both things unless you completely develop everything and deliver all the content on the offline mode, which can be easily hacksorted and data mined and whatnot else? Well,
I've said this before.
Again,
about that with the whole thing, people saying Frontier promised it this, and other people saying, well, it wasn't a promise. They just kind of listed it. So it's obviously people are interpreting that in totally different ways, yeah. But when you really kind of look into it, those were statements of stuff they'd like to implement on Kickstarter. So you could say, that wasn't necessarily a promise. That's just like an intent, just something they'd like to work on. But the other side of it is equally on their sales page, when they put up the lifetime pass on their website for sale, that did specifically mention, I think, the ability to walk around, and it did specifically mention atmospheric planets. So so at some point, when you're actually mentioning or referencing something on a sales page, at what point does it be considered a promise?
Oh, I think those things are promised. I count them as promised.
They will come as well. I'm pretty sure of it. They've been developing the tech. Like, you only have to look at Planet Coaster in the Jurassic World games. They've been building the tech to build these things. Like the engine for the space game started, and then they used the same engine to build the theme park roller coaster game.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah, sure.
They've been using that engine since at least Roller Coaster Tycoon 3.
Well, they've been enhancing it, evolving it.
Yeah, the Cobra engine has been in constant state of evolution since then.
In other words,
interestingly, they don't have version numbers or anything like that internally, because it does just, it is because it's their own engine. If they need it to do something, they just go to the engine developers and go, "Can we make it do this, please?"
Yeah, which is really cool. Like, if they were using another engine like Unreal or something like that, I know games like there's a JRPG I used to play quite a lot, and that was written using the Unreal engine, and they had to hack the code so much to get a JRPG to work in what is basically a first-person shooter engine, to get all of the turn-based stuff working, and it delayed the game immensely. So Frontier got this really good situation where they own the engine, they know exactly how it works, they know what they can do with it, and they know how to change it when they want to apply it to a different game. They haven't got to worry about, what are the engine guys doing? No, we don't want to go that way. That's different. So the things that we've seen over the last year for what they've been able to get out of that same engine, then I reckon that things like atmospheric landings and I hasten to, I don't really want to say space lakes because it will come eventually, but we are not ready for it yet.
The thing is
interesting. Do you see that as the larger technical issue?
Well, it's like, okay, so you can walk around. Now what?
Oh yeah, great. So you're worried about the gameplay around it rather than the technical issue.
So what are we going to do?
Is the same not true of atmospheric planets?
Not really, because it's a flight mechanic. The gameplay for some of that would be in actually flying the ship in a turbulent atmosphere.
I would argue that the same is true of simply moving around your ship, just to play devil's advocate.
Okay, well let's take that. So to move around your ship, there's zero gravity. So you're in space and you're grabbing hold of things and you're moving around the ship. You're not walking around like a first-person shooter. So an entire movement mechanic has to be developed just for that bit of functionality.
Plus maglev boots as well. Which add another layer of complication. Yeah.
Let's call that flight assist on, right? For simplicity, that's walking around assist on. But for the rest of the times, like you've lost power to your ship, everything's going wrong, you're floating. Because you are in space, now you have this full movement around your ship, all of the ships, whichever one you're in. For what end? What are you going to do? What's that?
No. So sorry, I'm just laughing at what I managed to do. Oh my God, I broke a Targoid instance.
Correct.
But no, if we are actually talking about if you're actually talking about engine and how it's being used for multiple games, now a good example I always keep coming back to my good old dead horse that is PlanetSide 2. But now in PlanetSide 2, you see, it has the same engine as Hizzy or H1Z1 or whatever else, and yet one of the games is a lot more advanced than the other one, and yet none of the new technology from Hizzy is being transferred into PlanetSide because, well, either A, they don't have engine developers, which actually they do, but they just simply don't want to or can't. Because again, the game is so ingrained with the one style of, or rather, one particular type of engine, so it basically becomes a subversion of it, a branch of the said engine. So to change it is, I highly doubt would happen, just because basically this goes back to the whole statement. Oh, look at the Jurassic World, or oh, look at the Planet Coaster. It has this, so they can easily transfer it into this game.
Oh, I didn't say it would be easy.
Yeah.
You know the reasons why I mentioned those games? It's the amount of assets that they have that engine is rendering. That it's don't think of an engine as game mechanics too much. It's actually all an engine does is renders and manages assets, and you build the game around it.
No, Ascorbius.
God, you have to qualify that. No, you have to qualify it. I've worked with engines for a long time.
Okay, you should probably know it more than I do then in that case, but no, engine does more than that. There's also, there is of course this, specification of physics engine. There's of course the
physics can be bolted in.
Yeah,
that's can be bolted.
Yeah, depends.
The engine mostly deals with how things are managed, because that's the hardest part of the game. That's what keeps the game running. That's what makes it so that you don't get popping, or that you can render thousands of objects. You can't do, if you don't, anyway, an engine does a lot of grunt work behind the scenes to make it look like the game is easy to do. Physics being added to it, yeah. Like Elite Dangerous got its own physics. It's not really Newtonian physics. It's just fake physics a lot of the time. But like with Unreal, you can bolt in physics engines, different ones. And same with Unity. So there.
Hang on, to jump in on this as well. The new lighting engine is something that
it's not a new lighting engine. It's just a little tweak here and there.
Okay, the new lighting stuff that is being bought in, whatever
it's shaders. It's new shaders. Right.
The new lighting stuff that is being bought in is something that, as far as I understand it, has been transplanted over from Jurassic World. That is how I've had it explained to me. Which is an example, and this is something when I've spoken to devs at Frontier, they do talk about the fact that the cross development opportunities provided by Cobra are one of their strengths. To the very the ideal example of this was when I spoke to one of the Jurassic World devs at Frontier Expo last year, and his precise line to me was, because procedurally generated dinosaurs could never be useful in Elite Dangerous, right?
As in, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, we need another No Man's Sky. Fuck yeah, that definitely is something I want to say. Fuck me.
Well, big game hunting is one of the things David Braben talked about way back in the day as one of his
dinosaurs
dreams.
Were pretty much one of the things that were always meant to be around.
I think he more or less just mentioned it as a random case rather than specific.
He's spoken about big game hunting on multiple occasions because it is one of the things that I think in his head acts as a milestone for the development of Elite Dangerous. When you can do that, it's reached a certain point, yeah? And he would really like to see us be able to, the story he always tells is the idea of picking up a passenger mission, and the guy's like, right, I want to go big game hunting on that planet. And you go down and you land on the planet, and you go out and you find the big creature, and you shoot it, and you hunt it, and wicked, right? That's one of the things he'd like to see in the game. In order to do that, though, look at the amount of... And this is why he brings it up. He uses it to illustrate what needs to be iteratively added to the game in order to get to that point. And in order to get to that point, realistically, you need atmospheric landings, You need you need passenger missions. You then need atmospheric landings. You then need procedurally generated life within those atmospheric planets, and then you need a first-person mechanic. All of which have to be added at different stages. Now, so far, all they've added from that list is passengers. Yeah.
You just know, as soon as they implement big game hunting, all will happen is people will turn up with their big ships and they will blast those dinosaurs, wherever they are, into the next universe.
Well, that's exactly the same as what happened with skimmers, wasn't it? When people used to ram them with their ships.
Yep. Or skimmers fell out of the sky and got you killed.
Skimmers killed me a couple of times because I just touched him a little bit. Oh my!
There's a full range of skimmers' lives don't matter T-shirts because of skimmers killing me.
Mr. Skimmer, can you show me on the chart where the nasty Yamiks touched you?
But no, it is a useful illustration because in order to get there is so much that needs to be developed in the meantime. Yeah, and it's what order do they take that in? I have to be quite careful about what I say, but I think that the next mechanic that's going to be added, if they do it right, could completely change the way that we look at Elite, whether that's atmospherics or planetary or first person. I think they're the obvious next things to expect, right? From a major mechanical update point of view. They're also the next two things listed on their original roadmap on Kickstarter. Just out of
was Spacelegs actually listed as a feature, or rather was it?
The way it was listed,
it was listed, yeah.
The roadmap, as listed in their Kickstarter, read as follows: landing/driving/prospecting on airless rocky moons and asteroids. So planetary landings as horizons. The next was walking around interiors and combative boarding of other ships.
Okay.
The next thing was combat and other interactions with other players and AIs in the internal areas of starports. Then the next part is accessing richly detailed planetary surfaces, i.e. atmospheric landings, procedural cities. And finally, availability of giant executive control ships to players.
Which many people thought would have been carriers, but
probably, yeah.
What we're going to do if SpaceX just turns out to be like, okay, so boarding other ships and like aggressively taking over the ship, if it's just a point-and-click adventure?
Hang on. You mean like any first-person shooter?
Well, that is kind of what they are, but like no.
Well, you did, first-person shooter. It's use gun. Every puzzle is use gun on person's head.
That is true. But what if it's like Diablo 3? Like it's third person with a camera, and it's like that.
But no, Ascorbius. What if, as you said, point-and-click adventure? You know, the good old proper point-and-click adventures. You just have certain scenes and you click on the screen where you want to go. That's about it.
Or text-based. You're typing in open airlock.
Fixed camera and you just move around.
Yeah.
Describe ship. You see an Asp Explorer. To the south is a door. Examine door. The door is locked. Open door. The door is locked. Oh, God damn it, I need a key.
Pick lock. You failed. Pick lock. You failed.
Enemy commander opens door. Oh no! And it's read out using the Galnet audio voice.
Yep. I love it. But no, in all seriousness,
you're giving them ideas, Ascorbius.
Oh God, blame Ascorbius for this if this comes out. That's it. Pitchforks, people, pitchforks.
In all seriousness, though, that's the way that they listed the stuff that they want to do long term with Elite.
Yeah, a good percentage of that was listed on the sales page for the lifetime pass as well. I don't know.
Oh my!
If you remember that, DJ.
Yep.
Most of those items, I don't think all of them, but a good half of them, that included space legs and atmospheric planets, were listed on the sales page for the lifetime pass. I think for me, the question is not so much if it's going to happen, but when.
Yeah, that's a good question.
3 years away? Is it another 5 years away, or
yeah,
you know what?
Yeah. Who the fuck knows whether or not this game will be still even profitable enough to work on and develop on.
Oh, I'm sure it will be.
No, you never know. You never know. That's the thing.
Well, you never know, but you never know that it will or won't. So there is two sides to every single coin.
I prefer to think
right.
as to what could, potentially be, rather than just hoping for things. And as things are, remember, it's been 4 years since the game was released, right? And in those 4 years, let alone space slugs, what else can happen? The thing is, can you recall, any of you, that any of the permit locked systems or sectors have been unlocked in that time? In these 4 years, has any of them been unlocked for story reasons?
Is that your benchmark for like whether the game is going to be successful
That's
or not?
one indicator as to how fast the story is going, as to what developers want to do with the game. Because, well, when it comes down to it, the game has apparently lots of things planned, but it seems that a lot of it's still being developed and not really released after 4 years.
I don't see the problem with
Commenting on the permit lock systems, that's a really valid point. I mean, for people who've not been exploring a great extent, they might not realise quite how many there is, but there's probably half a dozen, maybe even a dozen
and
locked
those are not
areas of
small
space
areas.
out there. No,
Yeah.
they're larger than the bubble, larger than the inhabited bubble that we've got at the moment, or as large as. And
there's at least
they're
one
still
of
locked.
them, as far as I understand, is used as a mirror of the bubble for internal development purposes.
Okay,
Why don't you use a separate internal server for it, for crying out loud?
Because the galaxy's big enough that they can do that, and it doesn't impact on anyone's gameplay in any way, shape, or form. And it's probably a fuck ton cheaper. It's also probably a fuck ton cheaper.
I doubt it. Honestly,
really?
I doubt
not
it.
spinning up a whole extra server. You don't think that's...
Well, it lets them test on the live server as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it lets them test live. The other thing is that, to be honest with you, for me, whether permit sectors get unlocked or not, that's not a guide to the development of the game. The game, like, don't get me wrong, I think that FDev would have liked the game to have developed faster than it has, and I think we all would have. But in all honesty, when you look back, a lot has been added to this game since release. For God's sake, on release, there weren't community goals or wings.
It depends on your perspective as to what is a lot.
Well, we burn through content like mad. We are excessive players. We burn through content. As soon as it comes out, we eat it up.
Yeah.
Right? So there is no way that a company can make enough content to satisfy us, because we just eat it all up. We play for hours and hours and hours. And then it's like, right, well, we've done all that now. Now I'm bored again. Well, guess what? That was gonna happen. There's only so much that you can do. So the only other thing they can do is make compelling game mechanics so that you enjoy the thing, doing them again, or finding things that weren't found before. But when it comes down to like, okay, I've done all the Guardian stuff, I've unlocked the fighters, I've been here and I've done this, and it's, well, yeah, well, you burned through the content then. Where's all the content?
But there's also the quality aspect of it, when it comes down to why, for example, No Man's Sky got such a good reception, with the recent update, and even before that. It was just that they didn't really release that many updates, by the way. If you just go and look at their history, they released almost about the same as, in the same speed as Frontier, these updates.
About 3 across the year, wasn't it?
Right?
Something like that.
And the thing is, each one of them was actually polished and quality. Well, sure, to an extent, of course, but they did change quite a bit, and they were notably huge. Well, Elite releases just farts. Right now, it's basically farts and maybe
I wouldn't put it that way.
Few interesting things here or there, but
if you take if you're saying that the quality of the updates for No Man's Sky was so good, I played the earlier version, then why did the next update set the world on fire? Why was that such a quantum leap from what was there before? Because, one, they had no freaking players to start with. People had given up on that game. People are still playing Elite.
That's
It
even
doesn't
harder
matter.
to get
They
people
managed to turn it around in such a way that people were paying attention after all the bad press that it got. Like, oh my god, this game's actually playable now. And because they were piggybacking off the previous updates, so you got like the Atlas story, you got vehicles and base building, and then they just made it so much better. And multiplayer, now just seen in your chat, multiplayer as well. That it just made the game much more playable, but it's still viewed as a casual game that people like spend a few hours on. They don't feel too bad about it. They'll start again. They'll do an Iron Man stream. They don't feel too much investment in it. Maybe they made some stuff and they really enjoyed their base and stuff. But people get really, really invested in Elite Dangerous. It's a different game. And I wonder if the pace of development for No Man's Sky, now it's got some players, now it's got a player base, will be as fast. I noticed today there was an update that dropped. Sean Murray posted on Twitter that there's a motorbike, and I want to get it. I want to see what that motorbike's like because I'm a biker. I want to know what it's like. But that's the highlight of the patch: one new vehicle. There's, from what I can tell right now, one new vehicle. So, is it that they did a ton of work and then put out a massive update, and now they will not be able to keep up that pace? Whereas Frontier have been doing...
You can't follow it up, sure. That's a typical thing. Of course, after you make a hit single, right? Following up with another hit single, obviously, is going to be pretty fucking hard, if not impossible. Sure. Which is fine.
It's also worth mentioning that before Next was released, they didn't exactly make it clear what Next was going to contain. It was a very, very short list of available information, and that's another, perhaps one of the reasons that so many people were amazed that it was so good. Yeah, that they kept a lot. Well, no one was hyped. They didn't hype anyone. They kept a lot of it under their hat. They learned their mistake, I think.
Sean Murray learned from his stupid mistake of opening his fucking mouth. So, yeah, there you go.
So, it's interesting that we're praising Hello Games for staying quiet, essentially, whilst... with one hand, and then with the other complaining that FDev are essentially doing the same thing.
DJ.
What's the difference?
DJ, you talked about the fucking context on internets. Apparently, you are embodiment of internets right now. There's no context for you. You don't care about the context.
No. So what would you say the different context?
The thing with so basic idea behind Hello Games, success and whatnot else was basically that they fucked up tremendously, and there literally was nothing they could have done to change people's opinion to positive way, in any kind of way. They simply couldn't. There was this wrestling analogy as well back in the day. I don't remember which league it was, but it was basically, when the business is hot, you can do no wrong. When the business is cold, you can't do no right. You get it?
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with Hello Games. Though they did, they waited out Storm, and boom, as they announce more and more, quality updates, they don't miss completely with breaking the game or breaking anything. They just deliver quality things that, in general sense, of course with bugs and whatnot else, but that's a part for the course. Still, they deliver it, and it got slowly but surely it's building up, and boom, now they release something magnificent in comparison to overall state of the game, changing it quite a bit, making quite an impression, and there we go. Because again, they put it out in the right time when no one's complaining, because again, if they put out such an update back in the day right after the launch, people would still dismiss it. But now that the time has passed, and of course gamers being gamers, quickly moving on to another thing, not beating the dead horse, they enjoyed it once coming back and looking at the new thing. That's a typical thing when it comes down to, what you should or should not say or do and whatnot else. But with Frontier, now, when it comes down to Frontier, why Frontier can't do it so well? Now, Frontier talks a lot.
or not enough in some people's opinion.
In many cases, they don't talk enough. Or rather listen, or I don't even know.
So there's a saying, Yamiks, that people. There's a saying, people talk a lot but say nothing. Is that what you're trying to say?
Honestly, yeah. Actually, yeah. I was pretty much thinking of that, to be frank. There you go. Me brain good, yes, but there is the point, your typical stream of random, again, not to diss on the community team, but just putting out a random stream on random event or whatever they put together and whatnot else. Okay, you show that you're active and whatnot else, and of course people expect something of that. If you're being active on the social stuff, then you're talking with the community somewhat, and in that case, I'll tell people what's going on, or just stay silent.
Yeah, so
I don't know.
Moving on from that a little bit, but kind of keeping sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
There. But keeping to the same subject still. We as we started off here, we're going to get to the point very soon where we haven't got any roadmap for the future content. So keeping in mind what we've just been saying, how would you feel Frontier should deal with that? How much, for example, of the 2019 content could they reveal to us? Do they tell us a lot and risk some of the mistakes they made this year where carriers had to be pulled or at least delayed? Or do we want them to, basically give us a full detailed content update or roadmap for 2019?
That's a question to me or everyone else?
Hey, everyone. DJ, what do you think?
Well, so I would, in all honesty, I think what we're going to see is going to be largely a mirror of what happened when Horizons dropped, and I'm happy if they do that. When Horizons dropped, they made it sort of fairly clear that they had a roadmap. They didn't specify too much what was in each of the bits of it, but they they made it clear there was a roadmap beyond that initial release. I think the communications around that were slightly mishandled, and they've learnt from that, and the next release will be different. But I suspect that what we will get will be something very similar, where it's, here's the core of what we're delivering, here's how we're going to be updating it. That will happen over, hopefully, X period of time. That time period is subject to change. And if they do that, once they've let Q4 drop and they've let the hype of Q4 die down, that's fine by me. I have no issue with a few weeks of concentrating on the big new patch and concentrating on the big new update and all of that sort of thing, and then starting to talk about what comes next. I don't think it'd do them any favors right now to talk about beyond that, because, pun intended, by the way, I don't think it'd do them any good, because at this point, if they started talking about next year's patch, all of a sudden Q4 gets overshadowed, especially if it is one of the major mechanics that we're talking about, right? All of a sudden, who gives a shit about Q4? They're doing X, space legs or atmospherics or whatever, yeah? That just kills the hype for Q4, which they don't want to do. They want Q4 hyped, right? Because it's their next major release, and they've spent a lot of time and effort working on it. It's difficult.
Hyping it.
Yeah, damn right. That's their job as a company, right?
They've spent all year working on Q4.
It's kind of weird for such a gap year update to be hyped. Honestly, I find it a little bit odd.
Well, just because it's. Oh, go. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, like I said last week, I kind of think when we're looking back at the end of Beyond, it'd be very similar to looking back at the end of Horizons. I was the first one to complain about the pace of Horizons. It took a year longer than anyone expected. I think it was a year longer than Frontier intended it to be.
I expect Multicrew to be blamed.
Well, it was called a season. I think it's called a season for a reason. For most games, a season usually means a year, I guess. Although there's some exceptions to that now with things like Fortnite, which have like 5-6 seasons a year, or whatever they're up to now.
Yeah,
speaking, I think people was expecting Horizons to be out within that first year. So, it took a year longer than everyone was expecting. And after the first update dropped, we were still waiting for the engineers, which was the patch 2.1, the second update. and they literally thought, well, what have we got here? 6 months after the ability to land on planets, and not much more has been added. And I think Horizons felt like that all the way through. And it's not until you're at the end of Horizons and you look back and you think, well, it's a worthwhile update. It's worthwhile someone buying if they're into Elite and they've only got the base copy. I think we're in exactly the same position with Beyond now. We're looking at where we are in terms of the content we've got, and it seems a bit slim pickings. And I do think people looking back, once all of Beyond is out, it will feel quite different.
Yeah, I agree entirely.
I think on that, if they've learned, if once Q4 is out, because obviously, like DJ was saying, there's no point them saying what's going to be coming next, because it will overshadow Q4. So once that is out, I think it would be in Frontier's best interest to say, and here's what we're working on next year. There'll be maybe a free update for this, but there will be a paid update, and it's going to contain these features. I think that's going to be important. I think they'll need to do that. Then that gives people something to look forward to and get ready to buy the update. Because I don't think there's going to be many free updates. Because I was thinking about how much money we've spent on the game. Hardly anything compared to the thousands of hours that we've got in it. Like just us around this table, thousands of hours of gameplay for quite a little amount of money. The next update will probably be paid. And that will be included for people with the lifetime passes. And everyone else have to buy it. I'll have to buy it. I didn't get a lifetime pass. But I'll buy it. It'll be worth it for me.
I'm certainly not complaining about the money I've spent on this game. And that includes, the money I've spent on the ship store, on the skin store, and that sort of thing. I'm okay with it, but again, I have thousands and thousands of hours, and it's good value for money for me.
Yeah.
Go.
Go on. Sorry, I thought you were stopping there. Carry on.
Well, the honest truth is, if Frontier, if we get to a month post-release of Q4 and Frontier are still saying nothing, I'll start to moan. If we're 2 months post-Q4 and they've still said nothing, then what the hell's going on? That is in my mind, a communication
The game is dead,
issue.
DJ. The game is dead. That's it. Pull the plug.
Yeah,
pull the plug now.
Right. But no, it's at that point, surely you need to communicate with your player base. Even if it is going to be a while until release, you need to communicate, this is what we're doing and this is why it's all quiet. Yeah? Because if it's awesome enough, people will wait. That's fine. I think, Jesus, if Star Citizen proves anything, it proves that people will wait.
Also, people will be whales and throw money at you. So there's that.
As long as Frontier don't ask that of people, right?
No, they do. They do. The microtransactions, mate.
Hang on. In all honesty, how easy would it be to spend more on a single ship in Star Citizen than it would be to buy every single item in the Frontier store?
It's not the point, DJ.
Kind of is.
It's not the point.
They're very different worlds, dude.
So assuming the Chapter 4 update dropped maybe end of October, mid-November or something like that, and we don't know what dates they are.
It's not going to be December, that's for sure, because that's already too late because of the accounting and other things. So, yeah.
So assuming it drops before the end of November, maybe mid-November, you'd like to see a roadmap from Frontier before the end of the year in that case, yeah?
I would, yes. If that release date is right. Yeah, if they release like late December, then I'm happy for them to sit on it until January. Yeah, that's understandable. But yeah, if they release in October, for God's sake, by the end of the year, please tell us something. Yeah, because sorry.
That's all right. I was going to say to TheYamiks, how do you see about that in terms of them hyping content up though, stuff that's not going to be released?
Right. So that's basically returning to your original question.
I mean, because obviously the reason I ask it again is,
we
want a roadmap, but at the same time, we don't want it hyped.
The bottom line is, for me, when it comes, now I understand the idea and reasons as to how promotional stuff works and why it's needed to be there and all that stuff, which is part of the business, and I accept that. Personally, I don't need hype. I'm a hypercritical cunt and all that stuff. So for me, that's just another moment when I can be snarky. But realistically speaking, what I would like to really just see from developers is deliver the fucking thing properly and don't break anything. Deliver something that is also interesting, not just bland as fucking concrete. So that's all I really want to see. Really, me, Exigius, and probably a lot of you watching probably also want just the simplest quality of life updates, quality of life improvements. I mean, how long has the outfitting been broken? How much the fucking UI is, well, rather, how much UI right now, especially right now, is unsuitable for all the things that's in there. Of course, the UI being mostly in the stations, but in general too. Of course, the pay and then of course instancing the multi-crew. I can point to so many fucking dead horses I've talked about in the past, but I don't want any new fucking shit. I want a refined game, because the game's lifespan oftentimes just devolves into the fact that whether or not, or rather to the fact that the game is playable or not. Does it have a lot of bugs or not? Games that are properly managed and games that tend to get a lot of refinement do stay in popularity. Well, maybe not popularity, but at least do get played for a lot longer time than those that just keep pushing out new content. Pushing out new content essentially is burning both yourself, your game, and your audience out, while improving it makes sure that it will be playable from now on, respectably. And, well, that's what I want to see. Just something that is refined, something that is improved. Because, well, right now there are plenty of fucking issues.
Yeah.
Do you
So
not
there
think
we
that
go.
they've been improving things? Do you think that they've not been improving things as time's gone
They've
on?
been improving them very slightly. Because, again,
Have
there
we
are
not just had a
big
year of that?
Yes, we had a year of that. And what has come out of it? Very little.
No, I agree with you,
Very
Yamiks.
little.
A lot of the things they've put in are broken or don't work as well as they should do.
I mean, right now, DJ,
most
right?
of the examples you listed.
No, don't get me wrong. There are things that are still wrong, but then there's plenty that they are working on.
I don't. Again, this year was a perfect opportunity to do even the little things. Again, the outfitting bug that is still there. When you sell something, you need to wait. When your character.
That's not a bug. That's just inconsiderate. That's not a bug, though.
No, it's
that
hard
just
to
could
say.
be done better. It could be done better.
Whatever.
Like,
Okay,
bit
fine.
of asynchronous animation.
All right,
Let's sort that.
Yeah,
fine. The general thing that I'm saying, that I can point to big things that still haven't been fixed properly, that should be working properly. The instancing would be one, the multi-group would be another one, and we're already thinking about the fourth season. How about we fix or rather, how about you fix, because I can't fix it for you, but how about you fix the basics of the game? How about you fix the fucking horizons? Please.
So, this is a difficult discussion to have because we don't know what they're doing with the Q4 update in that regard. One of the things that
one update won't change it much. It could change it, sure, but
I would
highly
argue
doubt
that
it.
Instancing has been getting better for a prolonged period of time. Don't get me wrong.
Slowly but surely, yes.
It's still nowhere near pre 2.0 levels.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Instancing is my biggest bugbear with the game. I'll completely agree on that one. Yeah, and I think the issues with multi-crew largely come from the same root cause. Yeah, I think the problems with multi-crew largely come from instancing. However, I hope and pray that Frontier have put in some work on that for the Q4 update, because obviously exploration is something that they're touting as having multi-crew enabled features. And that obviously won't work at the moment with the way that instancing is working in multi-crew. The flip side of that, of course, is that if you spend too long just refining and fixing existing features, yes, you will keep your, like, there is a hardcore that you'll keep happy by doing that. You're also going to piss a lot of people off. And they have to find a balance, right? They have to find the balance between years like Beyond and then years where they introduce, like Horizons, where they introduce a major content update. I would argue that at this point, the weight of those scales is probably in favour of a major mechanical update rather than another year of QA. Not QA. Well, yeah, I suppose it is.
QOL.
Yeah,
QOL.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
And that's what often is. I mean, it is more profitable, of course, to push out more shiny things to attract more magpies to your store to buy more shit. But
this is getting really negative and salty. Is that what we want to do? You want to talk about this?
I'm trying my very best not to be.
I'm trying
positive.
We're just beating horses.
Yeah, never positive.
We've already spoken about this ad nauseum.
Yeah,
Can we pick a subject?
for me, what they're looking at bringing to Q4, I think answers a lot of the issues. I will be very interested to see their roadmap from then on out.
Yeah, and it'd be nice to see that as well. But at this time, we haven't seen it. So, but we DJ Ant and I have seen what they've been working on, and it's been a lot of work. They put a lot of work into
I'm
it.
the only fucker who didn't get to go. Right.
Again, I'm sure that had nothing to do with loudly announcing to Zach.
DJ, your speculations and conjecture.
Well, everyone had to sign an NDA, and you told them you would.
Anyway, lots of work has been done. As soon as Q4 update drops, as soon as the beta drops, everyone's going to see what work has been done. It is a phenomenal amount of work they put into it. I am a developer for a different company, but I know how much work they've done, and it's a lot. We'll see whether they've addressed some of these other issues, and if some of these things are like real bugs, they'll have to get to them because they can't keep annoying people forever. But I reckon that you're going to see how much work has been done. It does feel like this year has been really light, and we've had a couple of ships here and there, and a couple of things here and there. We haven't had anything. It feels like that, but it's all coming at the end. I don't want to hype it up too much. But
it bookended, didn't it? The initial patch was quite like the initial patch was huge. The initial patch was great. Yeah. The middle two patches have been tiny. I wonder if maybe it would have been better if they'd just done 3 patches and combined the middle two. Because if they did that, then that might work better. That might have worked better.
I think it would have been very difficult for them to break up the work. I think it would have been incredibly difficult.
And I mean, when you look, even with the stuff that's been announced for Chapter 4 so far, let alone the stuff that hasn't been publicly shown, if you just people only have to go look at the forum feedback posts, and you can see that a lot of what they're releasing with Chapter 4 is being built on top of what's come in the previous 3 chapters. Yeah, it's kind of, they've iterated upon that. It goes back to the same thing with No Man's Sky in a lot of ways. The next update kind of built on top of the previous updates that come before it. Yeah, you got the vehicle driving, the base building. None of next would have been much good without the previous smaller updates that come before it, if that makes any sense.
That's
I think that's pretty much the same we're going to be able to see with Chapter 4. So a lot of the things were smaller updates. I mean, you got examples like, it's a good example with the megaships interactions they put in Chapter 2, which they then implemented into the installations in Chapter 3. And okay, they're not absolutely amazing, and I'm the first to point out that the rewards for them are absolutely lousy, and I'd love to see missions taking us out to those places. But it's that kind of process where they're developing something that can then be used later on.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice to see that. So like they have been incrementally adding things like locations, and the installations. They were assets from CQC. They were really nice assets as well. But now they are places that we can fly around and go visit. Been great for filmmaking, but there's not a lot of gameplay there. But now you can scan them. You can get stuff out of them now in game now. I think, can you?
Then what's the point, really? I don't know. I personally found those mega ships as well as the installations, really cool to look at. I really do like the film in them. So good work on the design for them, that's for sure. But when it comes down to proper gameplay, they just feel like set dressing but to me it's like a set dressing for a quest in a game that never was fully pushed through, like in Skyrim when there's some sort of a, I don't know, dungeon or whatnot else, but you never get to go there if not for just raiding purposes. But it has all the or some sort of special characters or whatnot else in there. You know that there's something being developed in there, but it's never been made. You can't properly get the quest or the reason why it was there or why you should go there or whatnot else. So that's I don't know. I don't know. Maybe because I talked about the quest today in the video itself, but whatever. It's just I want quests. That's bottom line. I just want some fucking storytelling being done with proper handcrafted.
I agree with you, Alex. I do agree with you that some story would be, something to lead the player on would be nice, so that you're not just lost in the black. It'd be quite nice going out to these places and see, there's something over here. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Well, the thing is, they put so much of that kind of areas in the game, isn't there? I'm playing on the Guardian sites at the moment, just collecting a few materials, but there's the Thargoid bases, isn't there? There's all the various installations of mega ships, generation ships, the Inara bases. There's just so many areas.
And if you're talking about the generation stuff, oh my god. Okay, so here's my rather saddest moment for the game itself, because we have Inra bases, right?
Inra.
We have the fucking generation mega ships, all voiced pretty well, at least, and really interesting stories are being, even told there. And yet, you won't go there. Fucking basically 90% of the people playing won't go there. Oh, of course, that's a random number. I'm not Frontier that knows all the numbers, but never mind that.
There's nothing in game particularly that points you to them, is there?
Exactly, and that's a big loss to the whole story, as well as the fact that people spent time working on them. And I weep for the artists, the level designers, and whoever else participated in making said instances or said sets or everything about those things, because they are pretty good. They're pretty interesting.
I think you're right. You're absolutely right. And the problem is that the average player is not going to find them. But so what they have to do is they go to YouTube, they go to Reddit, and here's how to find that mega ship, and here's the logs already on a YouTube video. Go find it yourself if you go here.
And you probably get a whole bunch of players that never even use into their games. I mean, how many people will sit? It's different perhaps on a PC because you can just tab to a different window. And I know I'm going to say on consoles it's a little bit more difficult, but perhaps it's not. You've always got your phone to hand. But
you got your phone. Yeah.
I don't think it's quite the same natural reflex if you can't do something on a PlayStation game to enter your head. Let's go have a look how someone's playing that on YouTube, or what someone on the forums is saying about that.
Sorry, Yamiks, what are you doing? What are you looking at? What is that?
I told you that I broke the fucking Thargoid instance, and that's literally what I'm doing.
You're ramming.
For those of you who can't see it, what's happened?
He's ramming his FDL into a Thargoid warp spot, and it's half disappearing. It's hilarious.
Quality gameplay, ladies and gentlemen. Quality gameplay. Oh yeah.
It's really funny.
So the question is, how do you maintain one of the biggest strengths of Elite, which is also one of its biggest weaknesses, which is the very freeform nature? At the beginning of the game, it basically gives you the Sidewinder, which is a cardboard box with some flashlights pretending to be lasers, and goes, well, fuck off then, get on with it. And for a lot of people, that's horrible. For a lot of other people, that's wonderful. Yeah.
And you have no idea why you're in there.
No.
The only time that you'll actually find out why you're in that Sidewinder is if on the launcher page you go to
the manual.
The manual.
You read it in manual. It's
pathetic. Tiny bit of text that goes,
it's
it's from a lawyer. Here's your Sidewinder. Welcome to the Pilots Federation. Off you go.
And to be honest with you, like, don't get me wrong, that initial introduction could be done better. I think we've beaten that horse plenty. But the fact that at that point it is essentially going to you as a game, here's a ship, fuck off, is one of its biggest strengths. That's one of the reasons so many people love Elite Dangerous. And the balance that has to be struck, because don't get me wrong, I agree with you guys. I think, as a perfect example, the generation ships really do scream out as an ideal example. Why aren't there passenger missions asking to go out to the generation ships? Just straight away, right? Are you gonna
researchers?
Are you gonna? Well, not even researchers.
Not even researchers. Go there.
You tell me that.
Guide you towards it.
Yeah, and you are you gonna tell me that the generation ships aren't going to have the people going to them, like ghoulish people on ghoulish fucking, you know.
And they are tragic as well, because they're the ships that didn't make it. Yep. They're the families and families of families for generations that started out with all the hopes and dreams and never made it. They all died because of something. It's really heartbreaking when you read that, when you listen to them. Because you don't know how many generations in they were. It might have been fine for ages. And then suddenly, one generation just screws it up for everyone else.
And of course, this is where, you know, if you want to let your mind wander, this is where some of the stuff listed in that roadmap suddenly becomes, oh, but you could do stuff like this with it, where it could be a bit more clever, where, like, you know, you could genuinely go and sit in a bar at a space station and overhear a couple of people talking about a generation ship that they'd found, right?
Or it could be on the news. It could be on the news, behind the bar.
Oh, don't. That is something that I and don't get me wrong, Frontier of all companies don't have the resources to do this. The money required would be phenomenal. But could you imagine
an actual news crew?
Could you imagine a game with an actual rolling news service running alongside it, like a 24-hour-a-day rolling news service alongside? How amazing would that? Don't get me wrong, the return on investment just isn't there. It's ridiculous.
DJ, there's a simple answer to that. There's Star Citizen that does basically that.
What? A 24-hour-a-day rolling news channel?
Okay, maybe not 24 hours, but a weekly I'm talking, at least.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about a literally like a BBC 24 or a CNN or a Fox News. Yeah. Oh God, that would be amazing. Come on.
No, we don't need that.
Well.
We don't. We don't need
it. Would be in a bar or something like that, and just getting. Yeah. Well, we kind of get that in a way, I guess, when you're
just get Galnet audio playing in the bar.
If you're in space for a while, you get the tip-off missions, don't you?
Yeah.
It's an extension of that. Why not have the tip-off missions directing you to the Thargoid bases and these sort of places?
Yeah.
It doesn't need much.
I would like
much. It's not that there's nothing there to guide players towards, but.
And research stations should be guiding people to the Thargoids and the Guardian sites, asking for the stuff that comes from it.
Science installations.
Yep. You have military bases which should be giving out missions to go and murder Thargoids. For God's sake, you can have places that are sending out archaeology, like other science stations can be sending out archaeology missions to to the generation ships, all of that sort of thing. Yeah. There's loads of ways that you can, and this is utilizing existing features. And to be honest with you, I expect it's all stuff that will one day get added, and it's almost certainly on Frontier's very, very huge pile of stuff that we desperately want to add but don't have time to do right this very second. Yeah, which is probably longer than our own, because let's be honest, they know the workings of the behind the scenes mechanics of how the game works better than we do, and there's probably a dozen things we don't even realize they'd like to fix. Well, a dozen's understatement, but you get my point. I expect that it is all stuff that we'll see one day. My suggestion would be that surely if you're going to introduce something like the generation ships, introduce that stuff alongside it, maybe. But
It could be argued they were introduced too soon because all they are at the moment, or all they are when they were released was I don't know, a tourist attraction to fly next to and get a bit of flavor for the galaxy. Saying, oh yeah, like we are so much more advanced. These guys died while trying to do things I can do in a Sidewinder.
Yeah.
It's adding that flavor so that the galaxy feels more lived in and has more history. You can read all about it.
And of course, it's all iterative. You know, someone coming in right now, and this is something I try to look at every now and then, right? Can you imagine buying Elite Dangerous and Horizons right now, like, and logging in for the first time, and slow, like, you know, Hello It's Colo's been doing it. She's been playing through the game spoiler free, discovering it from the very beginning, and the amount of content that is there, the amount of stuff there is to go and find, is phenomenal.
Absolutely. There's tons of it. And this is what I was saying earlier on. We burn through content as players who have thousands of hours invested in it.
Yeah.
We will just eat it up. It's like, nom, 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 where's the next thing? Because we have the time to spend on it. Whereas a lot of players, they don't have the time. They play a few hours of an evening. Not everyone is like TheYamiks. When a new ship comes out, you will do the work and you will spend the time to, if it's a rank ship, you will go and get it. You will make sure that you can get it. The Guardian.
Don't remind me. Fuck.
But you will spend that time, and it's a lot of time, and some of it is grueling grind to get that within a reasonable time frame for yourself.
To put it lightly.
Yeah, so not everyone has that time, and so not everyone's going to be burning through it in that speed. And you know, some of it could be signaled better. It could be highlighted better. Of course it could. Of course it could. Like, it frustrates me no end, the fact that I have to use Audacity to find Thargoid stuff. So I don't do it. It drives me nuts. I'm not doing that. That's boring. No. Don't want to do that. So, but the other stuff, like last week, I did a stream where we were just trying to get data, and I didn't want to cheese any instances. And I went to various places I'd never been to, because I didn't know where they were. But I was guided there by some other players. I didn't want to relog or anything. So once I got all the data and everything from one place, we went to the next place. And we had such a great time. Hours. It took hours to go and find them all. And we had a really, really good time. And I got data that I wanted. I got all the materials that I wanted so that I could go off and unlock the engineer that I wanted. It's fine. I didn't have to cheese any instances. Really enjoyed it. If I was trying to rush to get a ship, though, I would have to be really quite ruthless with my own time and grind away. But I do think that that's something personal. Like, not everyone's going to agree with me on this, by the way. It's perfectly fine if you don't agree with me. But I do think that a lot of grind can be personal choice because you want an end result. If a person wants an end result, then they'll put up with a lot more grind to get there. If you're not fussed about it, you'll play the game. That's my personal opinion, and you may disagree with me if you like. I wouldn't judge you any other way.
I always think when it comes to a grind, it's what people consider fun. Different people are obviously going to have different opinions on that, but you know, I like to play Warframe, and that's probably the most grindiest game out there. And
it's a free-to-play game, so yeah, it has the grind as a tenant.
Yeah, sure, it's the amount of times you're going to have to do something to get a particular drop over and over and over, but it's always fun. And yeah, that's, you know, fun as with everything is subjective.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, Warframe's one of the most successful games out there, and that's for a reason. It's because the grind is fun for the majority of people. I don't know if you could make that same argument for Elite, you know, with the grind in terms of
football has grind.
Yeah.
Football has grind. They're just running up and down the pitch all day long for 90 minutes. They're running up and down, kicking a ball. There's hardly any interactions. But it's football.
Yeah, but that takes skill, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's.
And I'd say it takes skill with games like Warframe, or if it doesn't take skill, it's at least there's an element of enjoyability to it. But
I think as long as it's not a Skinner box.
Some people work in a factory, they work on a production line, and they're doing, you know, you look at Foxconn over in China, is it, or wherever it is, Korea,
yeah.
And they're doing the same thing over and over and over. That's equally a grind. So same as, for example, you said on a football field, but one is fun and one isn't.
Because you have to use your skills to do this repetitive task of
but
running up and down.
But even football isn't fun to everyone. Yeah.
No, well, I actually not a big fan of football, to be fair. Other opinions exist.
Yeah, and the honest truth is, the fact that I'm the one pointing out people don't like football is very strange. But anyway, the honest truth is that there's content that I'm never going to touch because of the way Frontier have set it up. Unfortunately, the Guardian fighters are a perfect example.
But they are so good. God damn it,
I know
so fucking good.
I know they are. They look amazing. They sound amazing, and from what I've seen, they pack a punch. I'm never going to touch them because
they're made of glass, aren't they?
yeah, they're glass cannons from what I've seen. But because of what it takes and the way that I play Elite Dangerous, I will not grind. I just won't do it. And the amount of time required and the amount of repetitive actions required to get hold of those fighters is something I simply will not do. And that means that... But I accept this, There's areas of the game that won't be available to me, or certainly won't be for a very long time, because of the way I play. The Imperial ships. I desperately want a cartel. Yeah? I haven't got the rank for it yet.
You like flying sideways?
The cutter's just so pretty. It's a flying sculpture.
It is pretty, isn't it?
It's a flying sculpture.
Fabulous.
Other than in bases, I never get to fly it because and it's not a credit issue, it's a rank issue, and I'm not going to sit there and grind rank missions. I do plenty of missions.
Yeah, the rank system is just, oh my god. No.
Yeah. I've accidentally gotten fed rank now, so I think I can get an assault ship.
Ooh, you poor thing.
I've accidentally got it though. I didn't grind for it. I didn't go, I want a Corvette and I will spend all of my time grinding until I do. I didn't do that. Like yourself, I'm not interested in just grinding. I will play the game, and if I suddenly happen upon that rank because I've been doing this work for the feds, they really appreciate it. Oh well, thank you for that. I don't really care about the feds. Not really going out of my way to work for them.
That's how I've been doing it with the Empire. Yeah, that's how I've been doing it with the Empire. It's just
I am a free.
I do.
A free spirit. If you want to reward me for doing work for you, that's fine. But I'm not going to go out of my way to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas on my other account, on my Ascorbius account, I was grinding to try and get federal rank, and it wasn't interesting. So it's like I decided I am not doing this. I'm not doing it. And I play the game a lot, and I don't grind.
See,
me personally.
The funny thing about this, though, is that I tend to always have a goal in mind. Something that I want to achieve. And I'll accept that it might take me 6 months, a year to achieve that goal. Yeah? Because I won't go out of my way to achieve it, essentially. I'll just do it by what I do naturally. Engineering was a great example. I just do missions, and as I do missions, I get materials, I trade them, and engineer my ship as I go along. And now I have 2 fully engineered ships. Yeah?
I love the remote engineering. That has made engineering so much more accessible. It's like, all right, I need to increase the frameshift drive capacity of this ship. I'm not going to fly out to Desiat. No, not gonna, because it's a long way. Oh, I pinned that blueprint. I'll just do it. I've got the max. Yeah, I'll do it now. Aha! There we go. Now I can jump a lot faster. I can't get the experimental effects. Well, for that, I'll just go see her because she's the expert who can do that piece of expert work. But I know I've got a blueprint. The guys in the shop in the station can do that adjustment. There you go, mate. Can you just do this simple work to this blueprint? Yeah, right, mate. Take 10 minutes. Done. Easy peasy. And you've pinned blueprints for lots of different engineers, and you get loads of stuff done. Great. That's the best part of engineering that they've ever done.
So moving on then a bit from that subject, we want to talk a little bit about earnable cosmetic rewards for a bit. Is that something you'd like to see in the game? Do you think there's a place for that? And if so, what sort of activities could we perhaps do to earn them? And being, cosmetic rewards, I'd count things like paint jobs for that sort of thing, or whatever else they sell on the store, flight suits, bobbleheads. There's obviously going to be a bit of a balance there, because that's one of Frontier's main income streams, I would have thought, for Elite Dangerous. So if they make everything completely ownable, then from their point of view, from a business point of view, they're perhaps cutting a bit of a revenue supply off. But there's also the other argument, isn't there, that if they start giving a little bit of it out for free, as it were, earnable, that would perhaps...
Are we talking about addiction here? Crack cocaine and addiction?
Yeah,
holy
exactly.
shit. Okay, fantastic.
You could give a few samples
Space
out.
crack.
People spend a bit more money.
Yeah. So, in all honesty, they've done it a few times, haven't they?
They already done it with what is it? The community goals with the whole reward decals, and honestly, those are pathetic. But whatever, fine. It's something also, different, which works, I guess, for some people.
Yeah. Also, the silver skin for the eagle.
Right, that's
what did we do to get that one?
That was another community goal. Yeah,
that was the Santu
been
present delivery to Santu on the Christmas of 2016 or 17. I keep forgetting which one was it, but yeah, it was such a thing.
I really like the skin that they have for the special effect Sidewinder, where they give that to people who donate to special effect during their Christmas live stream. I think that's awesome. More of that, please. Like, give us more ways to be rewarded in game for giving money to charity. Yes, just yes, you know. Alongside that, though, yeah, I'd love to see them. I'd love to see a few unique skins put out for certain things. As an example, I'd love to see people getting a unique skin for hitting Elite. I know you get your decal.
Yeah, you should at least.
But yeah, something
decals
real.
Shit.
Oh no, they're not. Decals are great. I adore decals. Yeah, no, I love decals. I've got hundreds of the damn things. They're great. But skins, even better. And yeah, I would love to see, absolutely adore to see them give an elite skin. Preferably for each of the elites, yeah? And then another one for triple elite.
What about as like a mission reward? Like, so say you were doing... I wish engineers gave missions out to unlock instead of the way that it's done at the minute. But it like
basically a Siege's idea there, yeah.
Yeah, if you get to the end of the mission, right, so you've unlocked the end of the mission chain, and you've basically unlocked everything that they'll do. You've done a whole load of hard stuff for them, and they give you a skin as well for a ship that you've been testing it, like say an Eagle or like wherever it was, whatever the type of ship that would be most suited for that engineer, they give you a skin for it. Like, there you go, yeah, we'll give you a paint job or a ship kit. It'd be quite nice, but a unique one you can't buy on the store. So I reckon that'd be quite a nice thing to do. That'd be quite nice. But
again, though, it's all about commercial balance in this case. You can't ignore that. They have to take that into account.
That's true, but it is in a way it's rewarding the player for playing. It's like, thank you for doing this, like, and here's your reward, as well as you've unlocked the ability to fly 3 times faster. But you can also look fabulous while you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite nice to do that. System to work in a lot of other games. Again, you know, I've mentioned Warframe earlier, but that's another prime example. It's everything in there that you can buy, you can actually unlock with gameplay, and yet they make an absolute ton of money.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have a bobblehead for each engineer.
It's the balance they have to find, right? I think that they could do with giving away a few more freebies. I think that would really help. Particularly for the early ships. This is not a free-to-play
game, so yeah.
Yeah, particularly for the early ships, right?
What about flight suit stuff? I went to Felicity Farsight and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
I think that would be a really awesome thing to do. And I mean, going forward as well, I suspect that we will see further cosmetic stuff put up for sale. You know, if they do introduce legs, like, and you can go around the inside of your ship, does anyone really believe that they're not going to sell nice skins for the inside of your ship to make it look prettier?
Yeah, I think
would.
That Frontier ought to troll everybody by putting something on the storefront and taking it away the next day. Boots. You want to buy these boots?
But we have Hollow Me, so
It's for your elite feet. Oh no, take it off the store. What?
But no, I'd love to see. I'd love to see a few more free bits. But I don't think they should go OTT on it. Yeah, I think
they've got to find the right balance for that, haven't they?
Yeah, but a few more free bits wouldn't hurt, and especially for me for the earlier ships.
EVE Online does it, right? You can. There's missions in EVE Online that at the end of it, if you do this whole thing, you'll get a skin for your ship.
Yeah,
there's a whole bunch of stuff like that they do, and that.
Well,
that's
Side 2 as a free-to-play game does that too. I mean, if Elite really wants to be such a fucking greed piece of shit and do the goddamn microtransactions, and then at least learn from the best practices in the free-to-play market, right? Again, in Planetside, it's not the best free-to-play game, sure, but at least then, when you kill X amount of assholes with any of the guns, you get a special skin for the gun. Of course, you get also a special skin for your soldier or soldiers for all that stuff. And yeah, it's why not? If you're so indulgent into the fucking microtransactions, then please. That's
I actually don't. We will as much as I respect your opinion, Yamiks, and I do. We will disagree on microtransactions all day long. We will just disagree on them.
Yeah, just a paid shield. That's it.
I'm so okay with the pay to pretty model that Frontier has.
Yeah, as long as it's not pay to win, I'm fine. But pay to make it look glorious, in shocking pink with an extra spoiler on my spoiler. Yes, please. In fact, can I have another one?
Well, to be honest, I will say that wasn't always true. They changed their pricing model very dramatically at one point. It was around April last year that it happened. And they got the pricing right at that point. Before then, you were talking about there were skins for £10. Yeah?
I don't remember, to be honest.
There was definitely, yeah. I bought one of them. The golden skin for my Asp, I believe, was the one that I bought. No, it was the FDL. I bought the golden skin for the FDL for £10. And because its base colours are red and white, and I won't fly anything that's red, so I bought a skin for it.
You won't fly anything that's red. That's reddest.
Red makes you go faster, GJ.
It's a
everyone
He's
knows
anti-communism. That's it. He's anti-communism.
No, it's a football thing. I'm a Tottenham fan.
Zero. Can I just make a point here? It's a different game entirely.
Oh, hang on. No, Ascorbius, this affects every part of my... I don't wear red.
So if you get injured, you're going to be like, oh no, I'm bleeding an unfashionable colour. What's going on? I can't bleed red.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the team.
Right?
So, ladies and gentlemen, remember, football is detrimental to your health. There you go.
But yeah, no, quite seriously, I don't wear red because it's Arsenal's colour.
Oh,
dear.
So stupid.
And so I had to get a skin for my FDL because I didn't want to fly it because it was red.
Up to this point, I was agreeing with you so hard, but now I'm sorry.
Ignoring my reasoning, the point was at £10 I did feel ripped off. Yeah. Whereas now the same skin is £3.
So now you don't.
A few quid, yeah, I'm cool with it. At £10 it was too much. Right now, it's okay.
Serious mode, right? Okay, yes, I understand. Oh god.
But yeah, are you really that taken aback by the fact I won't wear red?
It's because of football. Because of football.
Yeah.
So a red car comes out and it's perfectly. You're driving along and it's perfectly reasonable for you to let them in. No, you're a red car.
No,
Screw your red car.
No, that would be ridiculous.
That's the car of the enemy.
I don't force other people to live by my
I'm
rules.
fucking British. God damn it.
Although, if anyone comes into my private group in a red ship, I will attack them on sight. Just saying.
That's psychotic.
Okay. That's a challenge there. Okay.
Oh, Yannick's is a little red on your ship there.
DJ, how many Chelsea-coloured chips do you have? How many blue chips?
Blue? None.
Yeah.
My actual the funny thing with Chelsea,
Jesus.
because I don't support Chelsea Bus Company. No, funnily enough, my Anaconda is my main ship, and it has the purple paint, purple pulse, like Tron paint.
God,
on it.
this looks bad.
Oh
Anyways,
no,
carry
it
on.
looks amazing. My ship
Yeah.
looks like something from Tron. It's just awesome.
Sorry, ladies, if you have red hair, you have no chance.
I'm very, very married, Scorb. They didn't have a chance regardless.
You never know.
Well, I don't even know how to respond to that, Yamiks.
I know, right?
So, where were we?
You
Yeah, no,
both
the prices on the store now, I'm really comfortable with. I think that they've gotten it's the right amount of throwaway cash. Yeah, it's you don't really think about it. It's £3, right?
Yeah, you don't need it. It makes it look
it's
nicer.
less than a pint. You know, for those living in England, it is literally less than a pint.
A new car is less than a pint in England. Oh, for goodness sake.
Yeah, okay, but it's you get my point. It's
I get
less
your
than a
point.
cup of coffee down Starbucks for the most part.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
And that's an easy decision to make. And I think that's where Frontier did a genius move with their repricing. They made it into an amount of money where you don't really think about it.
If it's first thing in the morning and you're asking me whether I want a coffee, which is going to save someone's life, or a ship skin, I'm choosing coffee. I choose to save that person's life, because if I don't have it, I'm killing some fool.
But you get my point. You
Yeah, I get your
you
point.
don't think about £3. You're just like,
I don't.
that's
I don't
pretty.
think very much generally, though. It just generally don't.
Yeah,
Think
it's not
it's hard.
£10, isn't it? Obviously.
Yeah, a tenner you think
You
about.
start thinking, what the heck? I'm not going to spend that.
Yeah, that's more than my dinner. You know.
Yeah, a pint of punk IPA is over £5 now.
There is definitely something to be said in a cynical way about the whole pricing and all that stuff, but honestly, I just don't even want to. I just point out the fact that there is. So let's stay at that.
But in answer to Obsidian's question, yes, it'd be nice if we could earn them in some way. In the roundabout.
Simple enough. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, maybe even if it was just, you know, you get a counter with Horizons, and so that, you know, everyone that bought Horizons gets a free skin. You know, you can go onto the store and you get one free skin. Like, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
As long as it's not time dated. Yeah, they've got a sale on it.
Why not? Go fly to Hutton and get a free paint job.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
That'd be
that would be cool, actually. That'd be cool.
Hey kids, you want to waste time? We got the skin for you.
So is everyone all right to talk about a non-elite subject for a few minutes?
Well, we got
you
about
guys
20
all right with that?
minutes for the thing.
Yeah, well, we
Go
don't
for
have
it.
to talk long.
Okay,
we
all
might
of a
have
sudden
lot-
I'm nervous.
Uh-oh.
I'm scared.
What's he going to say?
Well, non-elite things. It scares me.
Still
No, I'm
sticking with
joking.
space
I'm
games.
joking.
That's all right, TJ. We don't know anymore when you're joking.
Yeah, I know. I do that on purpose.
It's all a ploy.
Yeah, keeps you on your toes, right?
Yeah. So one of the, as I'd say, if you're into space games, one of the big things that we saw this week was a new trailer for and a gameplay video for X4 Foundations. And a couple of weeks ago, we saw a gameplay video for Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. So there's a couple of single-player space games on the way. Now, personally,
no one knows
really
properly whether or not X4 will be multiplayer or not, but it seems that they didn't mention single player or multiplayer, but yeah, it's going to be single player.
Okay,
pretty
well,
much.
I've assumed it was going to be single player because all the previous are, but then I guess you never know.
No,
But
it'd be nice. It'd be nice.
Really liked what I saw from the video of Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. I think that's very in keeping with Privateer and Freelancer, both of which were really, really good games. And
the soundtrack on it is pretty much guaranteed to be
how
second
many
to none.
hours is it? 21 hours of music they've got.
Yeah.
For Rebel Galaxy, it really does remind me of GTA. That's the first thing that came to my mind when I heard them switching.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's got some of the things we were talking about earlier. You go into a bar and you get the rumors, head over here, and maybe you can find a pirate ship or a abandoned frigate or something like that. Yeah, you can just go out. It's a bit like GTA in terms of gameplay, I guess. It's not that kind of massive scale, but it's that free form gameplay. Head to the one base here and go and talk to some characters. They give you some information to go to another place.
That doesn't surprise me because the people who make GTA cite Elite as their primary influence.
No, but there you go.
As to what they were trying to make Elite in a city. That's how they describe it. And so it's funny how it all comes full circle, right?
Yep.
That we're back where we started.
Prostitutes in Elite. What?
And then of course there was those nice.
Oh, we have slaves. I mean, come on.
There was those nice little what do we call them? Like bar games. They were playing in the gameplay video for Rebel Galaxy as well, wasn't there? There's Paul. All right, Paul. Yeah, you've both seen the videos. All three of you seen the videos?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, they were playing. Was it 8-Ball and there was a card game, wasn't there? Was it a card game or a dice game or something like that?
Everything, little extra things to bring the world alive, really, make you feel like you're a part of it. And Stuart GT pointing out in chat here for X4 Foundations to arrive completely broken, which is pretty normal for an EgoSoft game. A couple of patches later, well, 6 months or a year before it starts actually being even playable.
But as long as it's not like what was it, X3 Rebirth VR, which was just the worst.
I'm showing the Rebel Galaxy stuff. Oh
yeah, it looks.
Oh, did you see? Anne, did you see if X4 has got VR support?
Nope.
Did you know if it has?
Yeah, they said no VR support for that.
People were angry about it. I'm sitting there thinking, what the fuck?
Well, they said if it does have that, it'll be a released as a separate version of the game, like they did with Rebirth. They did X Rebirth VR as a separate.
Oh, prepare for shitfest.
Yeah,
I was just really
so much
hoping that they would.
Oh my god!
Yeah. I was hoping that they would use it as a like, okay, we know how to do it now. We know what not to do, which is X Rebirth VR.
Okay, so somebody in my chat said X3 Afterbirth.
Yeah, it really was. It's basically it was a London M25 simulator in space. Because you've got
actually the fourth game, wasn't it? Though 3 was actually really good. X3 was
good. Yeah. Although didn't one of them take away the ship, like the user interface? It was basically you're just looking out from a camera or something.
Yeah. But, then Rebirth was branding of it pretty much, wasn't it? That's where things kind of went wrong.
Yeah, Reunion was good.
One of the things that's interesting about Rebel Galaxy is quite how much, well, Rebel Galaxy Outlaw is quite how different it is from the original one, right? Because the original game mechanically was the way that you controlled the ship was from an external camera. You know, it was much more about broadsiding and larger ship control, whereas this is much more, you know, first person inside the cockpit flying around sort of thing.
Yeah, it's more about larger ships, wasn't it? Capital-sized ships you were actually controlling rather than fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah, much different scale.
It's one of the things that I find, I guess the most worrying thing looking at all the footage is it's very clearly designed to be a console game. You know, one of my immediate questions is, can I use a HOTAS? But the answer, it turns out, is yes. Yes, I can. which alleviated most of my concerns because I was like, I wouldn't want to play this with an Xbox controller.
Yeah.
Or mouse and keyboard for that
Get
matter.
with the times and get with the keyboard and mouse, people. Come on.
Why? I have a gorgeous HOTAS and a pair of pedals. I want to use them.
No,
keyboard and mouse.
Keyboard and mouse.
No. You stop that blasphemy right now, Yamiks, or I'll send you to your room.
Yeah, it's all about the
Fuck
motion,
off.
Yamiks. It's all about the motion, Yamiks. Put a bucket over your head, right?
Immersion.
Exactly. That was said
Okay.
with maximum kappa, by the way. I wasn't picked. Seriously.
Sure.
No, I really wasn't.
And did you guys see the really neat feature on? How do we put it? Doing nice designs on your ship. They got.
Right. Design
utility, isn't there? That's it.
Yeah.
The ship designer.
That was really nice. I've seen a couple of games with that sort of a mechanic already in them, but it's definitely nice to see it again because it's not an easy thing to make.
Yes. For those of you that basically didn't see it, it was an equivalent of a utility built into the game, very much like Photoshop, which you can import your ship into and then create your own paint job for the ship as well as your own decals.
So just lots of cocks then. That's what it's going to be.
That's what's going to happen, obviously, isn't it?
But what it sounds like is almost like the old Need for Speed sort of thing, where you'd have like multiple layers that you could mess around with and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly that.
That'd be
And then
quite
there
cool,
was the other feature, wasn't there, where you can basically order a 3D print of your ship.
Oh.
Now this is something Star Trek Online does, and Star Trek Online have got a deal where you can send your ship to be 3D printed, and they'll literally like 3D print and hand paint your ship so that it's got like the paint job that you have on it in game, the way that you have it aesthetically set up in game, and with like your like NCC number and ship name on it and all that sort of thing.
I want that in Elite so hard. I want that in Elite.
That's what I was going to say. Frontier are missing a trick there, aren't they?
Yeah, that's one. Well, I did actually talk to David Braben about that when we were at Frontier, when we were at lunch.
Oh, right.
I was talking to him about precisely that, about the fact that
Was he aware of that?
He hadn't been. No, he was very interested when I yeah. Because that's something that, I mean, it's not cheap. Don't get me wrong. As far as I'm aware, I haven't looked into the pricing, but I know it's not cheap. But it's the sort of thing where people are happy to spend the money, right? You're kind of like, oh, it's $50, cool, no worries.
There's a site that does that for fantasy characters, so you can design your own fantasy character, get it 3D printed. I can't remember the site now, but you get it 3D printed, they'll send it to you, and then it's down to you to paint them. But they're really nice.
Yeah.
So if you're into like D&D and stuff, it's nice to have your own custom character.
Mm.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they did that with Elite.
I will say with X4, one thing that struck me when watching the trailer was, and this is something that I've held issue with the X series for quite a while, the ship design just doesn't connect with me. Yeah, and it's very much me. I'm not saying that it's bad ship design. I don't particularly like it, and as bad as it is, that makes me less interested in the game. Does that make me terrible? I think that makes me terrible.
Yeah, it makes you a terrible human being. That you're a bad person now for that.
I feel terrible. But no, it's true.
Oh, cool.
The look of the ships just isn't something that it's not my idea of what spaceships would look like, I guess. And I don't know. There's always been something about the X series that I've not. It's never sold me. It's never gripped me.
What about their station
over
designs?
and over. Their station designs are next to utterly awesome.
I played X from the very beginning.
They've got a massive sense of scale to them.
Yeah,
that's one of the things I like about them.
Which is something that Elite, like, you really don't realise how big those damn stations are in Elite. Yeah.
You don't have any reference point, so yeah, it's impossible to tell properly.
And the
Especially
oversized cockpits on the ships really
that,
don't
and
help.
also the fact that most stations also are very poorly textured. So yeah,
I'm not sure.
If you
I'm
could
not sure I
drive
agree.
around in an SRV in a station, you might get to grips with quite how large they are.
at least a little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you can see definitely the scale when you put your privilege goggles on. They're massive.
Not necessarily, not even then.
No, privilege goggles do definitely help with with sense of scale. Yeah, no, they definitely do.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I'm not sure how on earth you, without doing something like first-person movement, I don't know how you get that sense of scale across in Elite.
So how do they do it in the X games? Well, why do the stations look so much larger in that?
I think partly because they are literally larger. I think that's part to do with it. They seem busier and they seem larger.
No, the thing is, they seem larger because first of all, they are not uniform like elites are basically, and also the fact that we can only interact with the main, well, carcass, I suppose, of the station rather than the whole station throughout its width and whatnot else. So, I mean, sure, you can fly through it, but you still lose that sense of scale, and yeah, you don't get really how big it really is, and that's the thing. At least that would be on my side.
The stations in EVE Online are humongous, and you really get a sense of scale for them, even though it's effectively just a 3D game on a 2D screen. They look massive. Like when you've got a battleship coming out of the thing, and you can't see all of the station. You move the mouse up and down, and you still can't see all of the station. You have to fly quite far away from it to see all the station. Like, yeah, that's big. Yeah, that's pretty damn big.
And the stations in Elite just aren't that big. Let's be honest.
Who remembers the game?
Huge, but they're not that large.
Tacky on the Fringe. Who remembers that game? Remember Tacky on the Fringe?
I remember it, but I didn't play it.
Now, those stations were massive, and there was for an old game. There's a really good sense of scale with the ships, and it just popped into my head. That was a really good space game.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I'm just looking over that X footage, and to be honest, a lot of the sense of scale comes from the bits where they're moving around in first person. That's when the scale of the stations really hits you.
Now, when you're inside on foot, definitely. But I also think when you're flying over them, I mean, they've got these massive solar panels or these massive hydroponic domes, and they just feel massive.
In the lead,
then again, I don't know how large the ships are in that.
So
yeah, I mean, I guess part of that is that again, talking about sense of scale. If I sit my Anaconda next to one of those rings, my Anaconda is nearly the size of an aircraft carrier.
Technically, yeah.
No, they are. They're nearly the size of an aircraft carrier. They're fucking huge. And when you put that into account, suddenly those things look really, really big. But you have to make that jump that, oh yeah, shit, this thing's the size of an aircraft carrier. Yeah. And I don't think Elite gets that across terribly well.
Nope. There's the lack of the common reference point. That's the biggest issue.
Yeah.
I mean, we have SRVs. I've said this in past. Yeah, we have SRVs that common reference point, but SRV is still quite a bit bigger than the human being. So yeah, you still get that distorted take on the reality that Elite is trying to convey. So space like Zahoy.
Yeah, it helps. Don't get me wrong. The SRV definitely does help with the sense of scale, and when you're driving around one of those ships, you do notice, oh yeah, shit, they're huge. Yeah. But even then, like you say, it's skewed by the size of the SRV, which, like I think Scorb just said, they're about the size of a Humvee. They're not a small vehicle.
Big.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not a Mini Cooper.
No.
Did any of you see that Space Legs demo that came out a little while ago? Someone had created a fan-made thing in the Unreal Engine.
Yep.
Then ported some of the assets.
Yep.
Yeah, what did you think of the scale in that? I personally thought the scale seemed quite a lot larger in that.
Yes,
and I'm not sure if they were actually as large as they should be.
They were as large as they should be. The player character model is a lot taller than a real human. In that, that's the discrepancy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and that's what throws it a bit in that. But even in that, Jesus
even then they did feel quite
Christ,
large,
yeah,
didn't they?
right.
Yeah.
You
even
suddenly
an eagle or something like that, and
yeah,
he was significant size, really.
You suddenly realise the Sidewinder is nearly the size of a small house. You know,
and listen, the hauler is the size of the space shuttle.
Yeah.
Because there's that other video that shows the scales of things, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like all ships next to each other.
Yeah.
And there was
something about their design, isn't there? You kind of imagine the Sidewinder to be the size of a car. Yeah. I don't know if you feel like that, but it kind of gives that impression to me. I know it's not, but
it's because it's got a tiny cockpit, but it's actually it's a tiny cockpit sat on top of a massive Cornish pasty. It's just, they are really big, but they don't look or feel big when you're looking around the cockpit. You think, oh, this thing must be tiny. When you look outside, it's actually really big. And you compare it to like real life things, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. And like the Eagle, the cockpit feels quite small and cramped, but it's actually the size of like an F-22. It's actually quite big. When you see one of them up close, it's like, yeah, that's large, a lot bigger than I am. Oh, and then when you start thinking about drop ships and anacondas and pythons are massive, absolutely enormous. And a Type 9 is the size of an office block.
There has to be a Yo Mama joke here somewhere, I think. Oh well.
I
It
just
feels
really,
like it.
Really happy I've got a Type 9 engineer that goes as fast as an unengineered Eagle. It's just lovely.
The Eagle doesn't really go that quickly anyways, aside from, of course, advanced thruster, but okay.
But an office block is catching it up. Look out behind you!
Realize there's bigger engines too. If you really want to make comparison, I mean, for fuck's sakes, Cutter goes like crazy, right? It's one of the quickest ships in the game. I think, at least. Let me quickly check that fact, but yeah.
So yeah, I'm just watching that ship scale video. The Viper is actually the one that's the same size as the space shuttle.
Is it the Viper?
Yeah, a Sidewinder is the same size as a Tomcat, like an F-14 Tomcat.
Yeah.
And someone in my chat's just said how they model the movement of the ships adds to the distortion of the perceived size. The ships accelerate incredibly quickly, which makes the environment seem smaller than it is, because we're not used to such big objects accelerating so fast. And that is also true.
That's a good point.
Yeah, there's the speed these things move at. I mean, you know, look at it when you get your head around the fact that yes, your Anaconda is nearly as big as an aircraft carrier.
And
then
it turns
consider
on a penny.
Right now, think about what happens when you do an FA off boost turn. Yeah.
Actually, somebody calculated that a cutter, you know, with its weight and so on and so forth, by boosting from a 0 to its maximum speed, well, by just boosting, right? I think it pulled like 12 Gs. So bye-bye your bones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just boosting. That's just boosting.
That's just boosting. Imagine my landings.
So what G-forces are on the pilot when an Anaconda does one of those turns? Because they can turn on a penny. It's like, I can see my breakfast. How? Because it came out of my eyes.
Yeah, right.
Ow!
So the scouts...
Wasn't that something to do with the Rimlock suits, getting around that in terms of lore?
Maybe.
So actually, I've spoken to Michael Brooks about this one, and no, the honest truth is they just decided to ignore that side of things because they looked at it, including it, and it just made life too complicated. And it made,
but Star Citizen has G's. Blah.
Yeah.
No, I like it. Actually, the Star Citizen flight model I really like a lot more than Elite's flight model, but Elite. I adore
Elite. Go, sorry.
When it comes down to Elite, the way Elite's flight model is made, it's more archaic. right?
I really
it
enjoy
is.
Elite's flight.
I do as well, but unfortunately, Star Citizen, I don't know, for more realistic take. I don't know. I like that realistic take, and while Elite boasts, we have more realistic general take of the universe. It's still kind of or rather we are more arcade-y. Again, in games you need to make sacrifices for the sake of realism, because oftentimes when you make things less realistic, they feel more real. That's the funniest thing about games, especially with FPS games. So yeah, again, both games have pretty nice physics when it comes down to flying and so on and so forth. But I'm sorry, I said games. Sorry, no, Star Citizen is not a game.
One game and one tech demo.
Yes.
Interestingly, the Type 9 is actually the same size, like takes up almost exactly the same footprint as the International Space Station.
Well, International Space Station is not really that big, really.
It's several football fields. It's big enough.
Well, it
and the Type 9 is a lot bigger on it. Like, don't forget that the amount of internal space you'd have in a Type 9 compared to the ISS is very different.
Of course.
That's like including its solar panels and shit. YamiKs, yeah. So
it's a warehouse with engines on it.
Yeah.
And the cockpit.
And then you look at the size of the capital ships, and you know, those things are they're bigger than anything we've ever built. Plain and simple. Although they're one of few things where the scale does come across quite well. The capital ships do feel big. In a way the stations don't, which is interesting. Sorry, Ant, go.
The capital, like Federation ships, yeah.
The Federation and the Imperial capital ships, yeah, they feel huge.
I don't know so much.
They're textured pretty horribly.
Kind of small as well.
What was that? Sorry, Am?
I feel they feel kind of small as well, really.
Really?
Personally, yeah. I mean, it's odd. If you go up against one of those capital ships inside your own ship, almost butt up against it, they feel pretty large. But then if you go into the external cam and you compare the size difference between your own ship and the capital ship, they seem truly massive then. I just don't think you get that same sense of scale when you sit inside your ship.
I think this is the oversized cockpit thing, isn't it?
Do we have to do the Father Ted? This is small, and this is far away. Small, far away. Do you get it?
No.
No,
I get what you're saying, and I think the oversized cockpits are a large part to do with this. They do give an off sense of scale, don't they?
Indeed, especially fucking Lakon cockpits. I mean, fucking hell. That just doesn't make sense.
You would never guess that the Asp Scout is like as long and as wide as a 747, right? But again, with a fuck ton more space in it.
So yeah,
like
space legs, we need it now.
Oh.
Oh dear.
We're coming up on our 2 hours.
Pretty much, yeah.
Mention that, yeah.
Actually, to give one thing about X4 and Rebel Galaxy, well, less for Rebel Galaxy, but X4 definitely. I'm looking forward just to see whether or not it will be capable of kicking Elite's teeth in, because we need a fucking competitor at least in some way. Unfortunately, it's not multiplayer, so that's already not really competing. So that's unfortunate. Yeah. So still, but even so, even when people say that because No Man's Sky did so well, I'm just gonna go play No Man's Sky instead of Elite. Well, X4, come on, you can do it.
It's pointed out to me early on that with No Man's Sky, that they've lost 90%, 94%, I think, of the player base of what it had after the next update.
It's typical. It's typical again.
You'd expect that from a single player game, yeah.
No, that's a typical thing. Again, the new thing comes out obviously for the first month or so. Yeah, of course there will be plenty of people that will be playing it, especially if it's something groundbreaking or really new and fresh or just simply new, right? Which No Man's Sky had, it's a typical progression of things. I mean, even for Elite, as a matter of fact, I've noticed for a while now that, for the first 3 weeks, everyone, watches videos, everyone also plays the game, Steam charts actually does display the same thing as well, that for the first 3 weeks, it's the massive influx, and then it already is dwindling, and by the 4th week, it's basically more or less back to the start. So, or back to the previous sort of level. So it's a typical thing. So we'll see how much Elite actually improves with the last update. Again, we need news. It'd be nice to have news, but yeah, I'm the only one who's in dark at this point. So let's see. We got, I don't know, 5 more minutes or so, or we can end a little bit early. I don't know.
So I think we're 1 minute towards 8 here.
Yeah, I need to run very shortly because I have
well,
talisman game to
take
go
us
and get involved in. So thank you very much for joining us all this week, everyone. It's been an awful lot of fun. We're going to carry on with this next week, and
week after that, and week after that.
Yeah, I just realised I was going to go, oh yeah, we're going to do this next week, and we haven't planned it, so I can't do that. But yeah, we will be carrying on next week. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Has anyone got anything special they're doing this week? Anything particularly exciting coming up?
I don't hype people pointlessly. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
You don't hype people pointlessly. Okay. So, does anybody got anything exciting, anything particularly fun coming up?
Not me. No. Nothing fun.
Nothing fun.
How boring is that, eh?
That's terrible.
I'm going to play to Elite.
What are you up to?
I've just realised that I have no major plans for this coming week. So I'm exactly the same. Although I am about to go and play a game of Talisman, which is huge amount of fun. And well recommended if you've not played it. It's a digital board game. Good fun.
How does that work? Digital board game?
It's literally the board game, and you press a button to roll the dice, and then click where you want to go. And it's not even like fully animated or anything. It is literally a digitized version of the board game.
I just prefer to just stab myself in the balls with a spork.
Oh no, because it's a very PvP focused board game. You can be a complete dick to your opponents, and we quite often are.
All right,
it's good fun.
Take us
but
out,
anyway, right. Thank you very much. So tonight we have been joined by Ascorbius.
Have a good night, everybody.
Obsidian Ant.
Thank you.
And TheYamiks.
Send anthrax.
So I've been DJ Truthsayer. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to be carrying on. I think these guys are as well.
Yeah, I'll be here for a little while longer.
Yeah,
have a lovely evening, everybody, whatever you're doing. And we'll see you all again next week.
Thank you then.
Bye, guys. See you soon.
Okay. And there we go. Right, so that'd be the end of the official part. And I honestly did expect to just do a little bit of Targoid hunting and all that stuff. But here we are just looking at broken instance, essentially. What is amounting to a broken instance. Right? Wonderful. What a wondrous thing it is, isn't it? Oh well. Right, so just to end the little official part, well, that was technically the end of the official part, and let's see, I actually did get a couple of tips during the stream, so I'll basically reread these things just to thank the specific generous folks that did that generous thing. So let me first of all re-enable the fucking alerts. So first things first, even before the starting soon, or rather the intro had played, let's see, there was a little tip from Betty Annie. So the note together with it came the note with it came as my husband watches your channel all the time and wanted me to send a donation. Well, that's wonderful. So yay. And I also hear most of your videos, and you're funny as hell, so I'm cool with it. So yay, what a wonderful couple there, and thank you definitely a lot. So glad you're enjoying it. And after that we got Johnny Jiu-Jitsu, right? Hopefully I didn't butcher that. Well, anyways, how much do I have to donate to be your friend? First of all, you can't buy friends in real manner, right? The second of all, if you want to send me an in-game invite to either of my second or primary account, feel free to do so. I'll accept once I start using them. So depending on which account you're sending it to, it may take a little while. And then D-King being basically a troll. So yeah, first of all, let the troll begin, and 2.8% of the players went to the megaships for story. Sounds about right, honestly. That sounds about right, or less than that, to be honest. So, yeah, thanks to all the generous folks around, and yeah, basically, if you enjoyed the stream, of course, we're going to be doing it next week as well on the Friday. So the roster will change, but I will definitely try to be there. Let's see, after that, right, yeah, you might notice that I'm using a bit different mic for this one, so yeah, well, what can I say? Maybe it's better, maybe it's worse, do let me know, but other than that, let's see, what else? Oh, right, and join the Discord, of course. Definitely subscribe to the channel. I'm basically less than 300 subscribers away from 50,000 subscriber mark. So, you know, you can always toss that subscribe if you haven't. And D-King, you magnificent troll. Thank you. So 2.8% once more being put forth, so thank you. And of course, yeah, if you want to support a little bit more, there's always, of course, Streamlabs super chats for tips, and Patreon for monthly contribution and all that wonderful stuff. So links for that are in the description, and of course, there's always Discord as well. As a matter of fact, patrons do get Discord role there too. So yeah, might consider supporting yours truly, even if it's for $1. It always helps. A single buck always helps. As Glenn Fricker says, give a buck. Don't wait, no. Wait, no. There, give a buck. Don't. Fuck it! I keep forgetting. Anyways, doesn't matter. Yeah, right. I keep forgetting it. Shit. Anyways, guys, you take care of your Friday or whatever's left of it, and I will be I don't know if I will be streaming tomorrow. Probably not, because I need to develop videos and edit stuff and other things like that. So yeah, line 6 sucks. Yes, indeed. Right. So yeah, guys, take care of your evenings, and I'll be making some of my videos and what else. So expect some interesting stuff coming next week as well. And yeah, what else? Any questions? I don't know. Let's see. No, at least I'm not seeing any particular ones. Well, yeah. Anyways, then take care, and yeah, I'll see you next week.